Hi, I haven't uploaded a video for a while, and today I'm going to use the same sodium silicate to get some texture on my pot. Also, this is a very good way to practice your stretch, making your foam, making your shape. And again, when I'm opening, see that I have my thumb hanging on the outside, so when my hands stick it in, both hands kind of compress this wall, and the right hand is helping it to stabilize. So sometimes people have a very good centering the whole piece of clay, but while they are opening, they lose the center because they don't do this. Okay, so make sure when you're opening, you still want to center the wall. And after I reach the bottom, I would set about 1/4 inch. And then my hand goes sideways, and then try to open it wider so that my bottom corner, the inside corner, is about 90 degrees instead of a V shape. Usually people have a very thick of clay on the bottom, is because when they are opening, they don't spread it out on the bottom floor. So they tend to have too much clay on the bottom. That's why the pot is very thick. So the first thing is, when you open the hole, you want to try to bring it out, spread it out, so your bottom is like 90 degrees at least. After I have opened it, I like to compress the bottom several times. Do the compression back and forth several times. So this is the opening, and then when I'm going to lift it up higher, I usually make my cylinder narrower. That way it's easier to pull it up higher. So I basically use my both hand, kind of choking from the outside, and kind of squeeze the clay up so that my cylinder is narrower. Also, when you squeeze it up, your cylinder will get higher. And even for the bottom here, I like to make it narrow too. So basically I'm using these two fingers, kind of dig in from the bottom. So now my bottom is much smaller. Then keep on calling in. And in the meantime, I usually remove the slip of my fingers and then coat back to the surface. And also I put it on inside of the hole. I tend to use a limit of water because the water tend to get absorbed by your clay body. So I try to cut down the water, and also when you are using the water doesn't stick on the surface. It always goes down and then go to the splash pan. Lift it up. When you see when I'm lifting it up, usually I start with resting my arm on my laps first at the beginning. But while I am pulling it up higher, I kind of lift my elbow with my body. So you have to go that way. The other day I have a private lesson. One of the people come to my studio have a private lesson, and she usually stay her elbow on the left, so it tends to kind of go a stroke like this, which is not a very good if you want to pull a straight cylinder. So when you are attaching your elbow here, and while you're lifting it up higher, you need to go with your body. So you want to lean your body a little bit straight while you are pulling it up higher. I'm still color at the end before I pull next time. And you might want to compress the rim a little bit so that it doesn't get wobble. I will use the sodium silicate. So now I don't want to keep on pulling it up higher because I'm going to expand it to be able to get the effect of crackle surface. You want to expand more, so your surface will crack more after you apply the sodium silicate. So I'm not going to keep on lifting so that my wall still had a bit of thickness here. So now I am just use the wooden rib to roughly smooth the surface. before I apply the sodium silicate. I could use a metal or two. So now I'm ready to apply the sodium silicate to the surface. Sodium silicate is someone also called water glass. Usually they use for slip cast. They wanna make the slip a little bit more watery, so they add sodium silicate to inside the slip, so it's easier for the slip to pull in and pull out. And this time we're going to apply on the surface. And I will probably just apply, maybe dip the top about 2 to 3 inches without any sodium silicate, because later on I want to close it or maybe make a lip or a mouth, so I don't want to use the whole sodium silicate on the whole surface. And basically you just brush it on. Because we're not gonna touch the outside, so basically just your hands goes inside the cylinder to gradually expand it out. So basically you will have to be very patient while you're stretching it. So this is a very good way to know how patient you are. So after I apply the sodium silicate, I would use the torch or a heat gun to dry the surface, dry the sodium silicate, so later on you will get a nicer texture on it. So after a minute or two of drying, the surface is kind of dry. You don't see it as shiny as it used to be. And now all I do is just get my hand inside and very carefully and slowly to expand the volume, expand the foam. So this is my first push. Probably it's hard to see from the distance, but you can see the surface it start to crack. Okay, now this is my second one. my third one. Let me bring the camera closer so that you will be able to see the surface. So that you can see it from a narrow cylinder. Now I keep on expanding the surface. While expanding, the texture gets more and more. I told you that this is a very good way to practice your form expanding and shaping. So this is a nice and good shape now, and I can keep on working the this part here. But before I do that, I might want to use a torch or heat gun to, because it's been expanding. The wall probably is getting thin, so I might use a torch to dry the whole surface a little bit more, so this part is much stiffer while I'm working on here, because I didn't touch here any, while I'm expanding I didn't touch the top, and I didn't apply any of the sodium silicate here, so I can still work on here. Okay, this is the finished part that I use the sodium silicate to make the texture surface. And to recap what I have done, first, this was about, like I would say, about 7 pounds of porcelain, and then I make a pour out a straight cylinder, and after that I use the sodium silicate to coat the surface and leave the top portion about 2 to 3 inches without coating the sodium silicate. And after that I use torch to dry the surface until you don't see any shiny anymore. That means that sodium silicate is dry, and then you gradually expand it, making the shape. And I wasn't very rushed doing it. You can see that I do very patiently. I do about 6 to 7 times, gradually expanding the shape before I close it. And also when you're throwing it, you see that I use a lot of slip instead of water. So now you can see that when I stand up, I don't have any splash pan, but I don't have any drip of slip or any clay on my pans. So, and also that good way of using the slip is your clay wall doesn't get soaked in too much water, otherwise it become too soft and eventually it might collapse. So using the slip is a good way to do it. But remember, when you're using the slip, you don't want to use the lump. Okay? It's on a very smooth slip and just coat it back on the surface. And also that people watch my other video ask me why I don't use the bed. Actually, if I want to remove my part from the bed, from the wheel, I definitely use the bed. But since I'm doing the demonstration, so I'm just lazy to put the bed on. And that's all. Okay. Thanks for watching, and keep on practice. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.